Trump is getting beat bad, and I think it will turn into a dark crypto winter if this happens. So I'm going to talk about what's going to happen for the crypto markets and XRP if Trump loses this election. Now, Trump is back on X and making waves, but somehow the polls don't reflect this. And based on that information, it looks like he's going to get slaughtered in November, which could wreak havoc on markets. It could wreak havoc on inflation and make it worse, and ultimately your crypto portfolio. But right here, you can see that Donald J. Trump was recently on a Spaces where 21.8 million people tuned in. And by the time you watch this, I'm sure you're going to see more. And it's had over 147 million impressions, which is quite impressive and arguably the biggest Spaces ever hosted in Twitter's history. Now, the Elon Musk and Trump conversation on X Spaces was arguably one of the most controversial things to happen in recent memory, at least according to the media and leftists, and the attacks haven't stopped. Currently, the Kamala Harris administration, or the people behind her, put out this statement: Donald Trump's extremism and dangerous Project 2025, which he has denounced publicly, agenda is a feature, not a glitch of his campaign, which is not on full display for those unlucky enough to listen in tonight. So almost like, hey, by the way, we know exactly what they've talked about. They talked about Project 2025, which they didn't, and it was on full display, which it wasn't during the space. So you don't have to be unlucky. Don't listen to the space. Just listen to us. We're telling you that's what happened, which is a total fraud and a scam. Trump's entire campaign is in service to people like Elon Musk and himself, self-obsessed rich guys. And again, they're speaking to their audience, typically people who want government handouts, right? Will sell out the middle class and who cannot run a live stream in the year of 2024. And the attacks continue. Apparently before the entire Spaces, there was a massive DDoS attack, and that would make sense. I mean, these are two of the most popular, well-known names in modern history. Going to speak about a presidential election that's coming up. There's going to be actors involved that don't want people to listen. They want to shut free speech down, and we'll talk about that in a second. But he's saying, working on shutting it down. Worst case, we'll proceed with a smaller number of live listeners and post the conversation later. I think the conversation started about 40 minutes later, and then when they got into it, everything was smooth sailing, and there was about 1.2 million people on the live stream at any given time. And the left and the entire globalization type community, right? The EU put out a statement literally the day of, basically stating that they are going to threaten legal action if they don't follow in line with an Orwellian version of content moderation. They demand that Elon Musk take timely, diligent, non-arbitrary, and objective action against content they deem harmful, as if free speech needs to be micromanaged. And here's the gentleman, I believe he's French. What's even funnier is that he took a second citizenship in Senegal in order to get lower taxes, yet here he is profiting off the backs of the entire European Union. If I was in a quote-unquote sovereign state inside of Europe, and I was involved in the European Union, I would want my own Brexit. I'd want to leave, because at the end of the day, these are unelected officials and bureaucrats that are literally sending people to jail for saying something they don't agree with and call dangerous. At any point in time, everything is hate speech according to them. And here would be the letter, which you can go ahead and look up for yourself and read into it. It is very timely how it came on the exact same day that they were going to put out this speech. To which Joey Manorino posted this: Elon and Trump are just holding a simple conversation on X, and the entire world is acting like a meteor is out to fall out of the sky. The EU sent Musk a letter. The White House press corps is asking the White House to intervene. This is how I know polls showing him losing to Kamala are fake. If he was losing, they wouldn't care. And even Google isn't really showing you real results like X would. Right over here, if you type in Elon Trump Spaces, it's completely biased. For example, the first 4 things say Elon's Trump Spaces chat is a total disaster. Trump rambles and slurs. Then they're talking talking about Kamala Harris's campaign criticizing. They're talking about how Trump and Musk host friendly conversation on X after delay from technical issues. They're just going to continue to slander or at least talk down on this thing and tell you it was terrible and how Project 2025 is Trump's doing, when in reality you just got to listen to some of the key points and why it's going to be so good. So really, what doesn't the media want you to hear? Well, we're going to be covering some key points Trump shared on the live X spaces with Elon Musk, which garnered an insane amount of impressions, an insane amount of listeners over not even 24 hours, and that number is going to continue to climb over the upcoming days. This could potentially influence the election, and how this conversation between two of the most recognized names in modern history will affect the entire crypto industry and your XRP bags. We'll be covering what Elon said that the media doesn't want you to hear, alongside some inflation stuff, crypto policy in the new administration, and what crypto companies and their founders said at the White House and why they're so royally pissed off at the Biden administration. So let's get into the video. And if you haven't already, head to the description down below to grab your link for bullrunners.com. It's our all market solution. Doesn't matter if we enter a bear market or if we're in a full-fledged bull market with a little bit of a lag. Ultimately, all right, you can take your XRP and put it to work. You can learn how to earn more crypto in less than 10 minutes with the #1 play to earn XRP game. So this is a great way to not only earn on that XRP, to put it to work, to potentially reduce some volatility in your portfolio. But at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to happen. So I think this is a great way to hedge against that risk. So go to bullrunners.com, and if you're feeling blessed and bullish, comment 777. And if you're going to be the richest person in your family tree, smash the subscribe button. Before we dive in, a quick reminder that the opinions in this video are for informational and educational purposes only and do not constitute financial, legal, or investment advice. All investments, including cryptos, carry risks and potential losses. Always do your own research and consult with a licensed financial advisor. We are not licensed financial advisors, and relying on our content for financial decisions is at your own risk. By watching this video, you agree we are not responsible for any losses or damages, and we do not guarantee any specific results or outcomes. Some of the links below may be affiliate links, and we may earn a commission, which actually helps support this channel and helps us to create value-based videos like this. We also hold some positions in the cryptocurrencies that we talk about, but that's only because we do what we believe in. However, this should not be interpreted as a recommendation for you to do the same. With that said, let's get into the video. So anywhere you look right now, it seems that Kamala Harris is in the lead. Now, this is one of the least, if not the least popular president or vice president, in modern history. Okay. And then Biden drops out all of a sudden, and with no votes, right, she becomes the presidential nominee for the Democratic Party of 2024. She came out of being the least popular president in history to all of a sudden leading the polls. And it really starts to beg the question, what's actually going on? Well, I might remind you that polls are there to influence public perception. And so even when you head on over to the New York Times or look up Kamala's polls, consistently she's leading Trump in just about every state, right? Harris up by 5, 4, 9, 3, 4, and all of the major polling systems. And the media has grabbed a hold of this stuff and then continued to promote it. So it's like their own echo chamber, right? Kamala Harris, through a very thin order book margin, has now increased her chance or odds of winning by 52%. But what's really telling is not necessarily the percentage chance, which can be manipulated with a couple $100,000 to $1 million, but more so the money in it. So you can see here, Donald Trump is currently favored in terms of actual dollars bet. Okay, and you could argue, well, more dollars have to be bet here because they're trying to win bigger and yada yada. No, the reality is more people probably believe Donald Trump is going to win than Kamala Harris, and arguably they make more money by him winning because his odds are lower. Okay, but in general, I think a lot of these polls are kind of rigged, considering a recent photo came out from the Kamala Harris campaign where there was genuinely AI involved, and that was on the plane in the tarmac. Now, there have been some fakes. We have verified there are fakes. Even someone came out and said it was a parody, it was a joke. But there is one in particular which their campaign is quote unquote not refuting, but also a lot of the media is refuting through Snopes and all of these fact checkers saying, no, that wasn't AI. But when you look closely at the photo, you can see that a lot of these phones don't even film the exact location or humans. Some people have zoomed in on better, higher resolution photos. The plane itself doesn't have reflections of people, but reflections of a tarmac and an actual other plane. And then when it was run through AI scanners, you can see here that a lot of it was considered artificial. It was about a 92% chance this was an artificial photo. So it seems the Harris campaign and the media have mobilized to influence public opinion that she really is in the lead, but it doesn't seem that way. And here's a legendary trader, Mark Minervini, talking about his position and stance on the whole matter. Trump has been talking with Elon Musk for hours on live, completely unscripted like normal human beings. They covered all sorts of topics. This is precisely how to take it to the people and subvert the biased media. Way to go, Elon. I hope you invite Kamala to do the same. Now, there have been rumors circulating that Kamala has been invited, and then she turned it down, because the reality is when you look at Kamala Harris at virtually all of her rallies, she said the exact same thing. Go ahead and look it up yourselves. At every single one of these rallies, she's reading from a teleprompter saying, I know I'm for certain the path to the White House runs through this state, and she's saying it in Chicago and Wisconsin and Illinois and all Michigan and all these places. But now it's reported that she's indicated she has received the same invite Trump did for an X Base but refused. And if you don't remember, not too long ago, Biden did the same, right? Trump has been on all sorts of podcasts, from Logan Paul to the Nelk Boys and their podcast. And, he'll go off the cuff because he's not afraid to get hard questions and to answer them. When it came to Biden, he never would. He would hide in his basement and only do private press releases, right? Well, it seems to be the case with Kamala Harris too, and I believe it's because her advisor is saying you're going to get destroyed out there. You'll probably fumble and mumble and not say anything. And so the very same thing they're accusing Trump and Elon of is actually what's been happening with Kamala. She cannot read off the script. Now, far from being too political in this video, I really want to get into the key policies and why a Kamala Harris presidency probably wouldn't look so good for the crypto industry as a whole. And we'll start with the regime of Biden. Okay, Biden at one point in time started blaming Republicans for the border crisis. He was basically saying Congress won't pass a bill to protect the border. Then he went on, right, and we're like 3 years into this whole mess. We've had the highest illegal immigration rate in history. And he goes on to say every day between now and November, the American people are going to know the only reason the border is not secure is Donald Trump and his MAGA Republican friends. Now, here's what's so funny about that. He did do a lot of work at the border. And then when he left, Biden literally said, we're going to quit everything that Trump did because that's what our administration's doing, right? Anything Trump did, bad. So we'll just cancel it. And so they actually started opening up the borders instead of tightening down on them. And then he went on to blame the Republicans. Now, what's even more funny, okay, is he said, I don't have the power as president to do anything. Yet when June rolled around and we started getting far closer to the election and they started realizing that the illegal immigration crisis and issue is a big deal to many voters, all of a sudden he's now ordering, he said the order suspends entry of migrants who crossed the southern border illegally and was set to take effect exactly at 12:01 a.m. Wednesday, barring legal challenges. In other words, now all of a sudden he's able to do something and said, I still blame Republicans, I still blame Donald Trump, we couldn't get anything done, but right now I'm going to get something done. Why? Because they have to backtrack and actually get something done in order to win votes. And by the way, this is the same administration that Kamala Harris was involved in that was considered the border czar, right? She was in charge of the border, and now they're denying that too. But she was genuinely in charge and put in charge of the border, and now all of a sudden she can't take care of it, and now she's promising, oh no, now we'll take care of it. Well, the reality is you had 3.5, 4 years to do it, and you didn't do it. Why wouldn't you do it now? You're still in office. Why wouldn't you do it now instead of promising it in the future? Then another failed policy came along. When crypto started crashing in 2022, the administration said, we're going to take crypto more seriously. We're going to start looking into it. Crypto asset prices appear to be primarily driven by speculation rather than grounded in current fundamental economic use cases, and prices have repeatedly recorded significant and broad declines. And this was a report put together by people that he had on his team. Okay, they continued. The council's report also calls on Congress to pass legislation to allow regulators visibility into crypto platform subsidiaries, as well as to create federal framework for stablecoin issuers. This is something that they were going to do. Then what happened was the House put together a bill. It went to Congress, didn't pass. Another one would go to Congress, it got to Biden, then he vetoed the bill. So consistently, right, they've had time to issue legislation surrounding crypto, yet they didn't. So a year passes, there is no regulation, there is no clarity. The SEC is retroactively charging people, and they are, right, headed by the Biden administration. You could say, well, they're separate entities, but at the end of the day, if the SEC felt pressure not to do this stuff because they said, we want our administration to be known as one who's going to start to work on regulatory clarity for crypto and to protect investors like they said they wanted to, well, then I would work with the SEC instead of having them retroactively attack anyone and everyone. Now, here's what's even more funny. Back in 2023, again, under the Biden and Kamala administration, they sued Coinbase for operating an unregistered securities exchange, broker, and clearing agency. Now, here's what's so funny about that. Coinbase at that time was a publicly listed U.S. company that registered with the SEC. And the SEC still went and did that. And so that begs the question, were there politics involved here? Were they feeling pressure from some bigger banking institutional players that said, we're not properly positioned in crypto, and so we want you to harm the industry so we can get positioned at a better price, and then once we are, then we'll start to lighten up the load. And by 2024 they did, and they released a Bitcoin ETF and an Ethereum ETF now, and arguably at some point potentially an XRP ETF now that we're starting to get into that point with the regulatory clarity with the settlement. But at the end of the day, this administration has failed at just about every single level over and over and over again. They failed the crypto community and they failed the border, and I believe they're going to continue to fail if they are in power. So then not too long ago, literally like this week, right, there were crypto industry leaders that went to meet with the White House. And in this meeting, we had big swingers like Mark Cuban, Skybridge Capital, Ro Khanna, we had Ripple, we had Coinbase, we had Kraken, we had a lot of key players at this meeting, to which they said, but instead of patching things up, a meeting attendee who wished to remain anonymous says the crypto executives lashed out at the Democratic leaders for their hostility shown by regulators toward the digital asset industry. Again, this is not any new news, and at the end of the day, 2 years and hundreds of billions of dollars later, you would think it's kind of an important issue, yet they continue to kick the can down the road. It says executives didn't hold back on telling the administration reps how much damage they've done to the crypto industry and to the Democrat Party with their actions against digital assets. They basically just got yelled at. And to confirm it, on August 9th, Tyler Winklevoss, one of the twins behind Gemini and one of the original guys with the idea behind Facebook way back in the day, said this. He said, can anyone explain why Kamala Harris didn't attend the crypto roundtable yesterday? I understand that she's on the campaign trail, but the meeting was virtual. All she needed was an internet connection. Technical difficulties. And the reality is, it's just, I don't think she could, if she can't talk about normal issues, how the hell is she going to talk about crypto? They even invited her to Bitcoin Nashville. She couldn't show up to that, obviously. She constantly needs to be handled in the same way that Biden does. They need teleprompters to operate. And I would argue that is not a good and strong leader. So then what do we have left? If Kamala Harris wins, I do believe we're going to get a lot of this same crap. We're going to get a lot of things kicked down the road. A lot of promises made, nothing really taken care of. There's a lot of incompetency currently in the White House. I think the nation is ready for a change, which is why we listen to this podcast. So what does this mean for your crypto, XRP? And arguably, what did they say that's very bullish for markets? Now, what exactly did Elon have to say about Trump and why he's endorsing him? Let's listen.
Congratulate you. I mean, thank you. I just say here's to an exciting, inspiring future that people can look forward to and be optimistic and excited about what happens next. And that's the kind of future that I think you'll bring as president, and that's why I endorse you.
Well, I appreciate that. That endorsement meant a lot to me. Not all endorsements mean that much, to be honest. Your endorsement meant a lot. And we have a phrase, "Make America Great Again." It's pretty simple, but it really says we want to make America great again, and we can do it. We can do it now, but if we were going to suffer another 4 years like we've suffered for the last 4 years, I'm not sure the country can ever come back. That's how bad it is. It's so bad. We have to do a lot.
I think that's a very real risk.
It's a big risk.
It's a very real risk.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to note to people listening, like, I've not been very political before, and if you look at my record, I've actually been, I'm not like, so they try to paint me as like a far right guy, which is absurd, because I'm like making electric vehicles and, solar and about helping the environment, and actually, I supported Obama. I stood in line for 6 hours to shake Obama's hand when he was running for president, and so it's not like I'm like some sort of dyed-in-the-wool long-term Republican. I'd call myself, historically a moderate Democrat, and now I feel like we're really at a critical juncture for the country, and I think a lot of people thought, the Biden administration would be a moderate administration, but it's not, and obviously we're just going to see an even further left administration with Kamala. That's my honest opinion. I mean, her dad is literally, she was brought up as an actual, her dad is a Marxist economist. That's, you can Google it. I mean, it's not we're not making this up, That's how she was brought up. So, and we want to have a future that is prosperous, and I think we're just at this critical juncture, and I think this is a case of America is going to at a fork in the road, and I think it will take the path, like you are the path to prosperity, and I think Kamala is the opposite.
So ultimately, if Kamala actually does win, I just think we're going to get a lot of the same stuff we've already seen, because ultimately I like to watch what people do. I don't listen to what they say. So, a lot of people, when they're running for office, especially politicians being the chief amongst liars, will say anything to get elected, but I just want to see their actual track record. And Kamala Harris has arguably been the most dismal in American history, not only as vice president, but as a politician who didn't get any real Democratic votes to sit in her position currently. So that said, I am very bullish on Donald Trump and the future of crypto. I think if Donald Trump is in office, I do believe he's going to work hard to create regulatory around crypto. I do believe that there's going to be a new boom in the crypto space, especially when you talk about how Brad Garlinghouse, is really excited for a new incoming administration after this 4-year legal battle with the SEC. It's no wonder, right? If I don't have regulatory clarity and it's because of, a specific administration, well, then I'd obviously want a new administration to start playing ball with. So not only that then, right, you also need a good economic environment for crypto to thrive into. And that's exactly what Trump is going to deliver for the crypto market. Let's take a listen.
Well, I think the logic point here, as you're saying, a lot of people concerned about the economy, a lot of people concerned about inflation, and inflation is effectively a tax on people that save money and people that are working day to day. It's just a form of taxation. And if we can solve the government spending problem, solve the inflation problem, which means people will have a better standard of living, and that's a really big deal.
The people that got it worse are the people that did it the way they were taught to do it all through, their young life and their young life and their whole life. The people that saved money, and then they got no interest on their money, and inflation destroyed them. And frankly, they were almost better off if they didn't do anything like that. And those people have been absolutely decimated. And we're going to bring those people back and help those people. We've got to get the prices down. When I look at bacon costing 4 or 5 times more than it did a few years ago. When you look at some of the food products in grocery stores, people go, they can't believe it. They used to be able to buy a whole cart, and today, a lot of people just don't have the money. They go in and they can't buy anything. They look at
it's
sticker shock. They call it sticker shock, right?
I think it really just comes, like I said, I think it just comes down to really, I guess really two things, which is that if you solve government overspending, you solve inflation, which improves living standards of the average person, and then if you deregulate, like have sensible regulations, so because a lot of the regulations are nonsensical and cause the cost to be extreme for no reason. But unless you've got effective deregulation, like Reagan did a great job of deregulation in the 80s, but it's been 40 years since we had anyone really. I mean, during your administration, we made some progress, but I think there's opportunity to make, I think, radical progress with sensible regulation. If
Well,
those two things, yeah, those are the big deals.
we set a record.
And so I firmly believe that we can enter a crypto winter. And if you were to take a look at the traditional media, take a look at the polls, you would be inclined to believe that Donald Trump is losing badly. But when you look at the amount of people that tuned into this spaces, it seems very clear. I just don't believe that Kamala Harris would get the same amount of numbers on any stream for that matter. And I think that's why her handlers are so worried that if she did, her numbers would be so dismal that it would truly tell the public what's really going on. Because right now, right, you can look at the traditional media and they can control the narrative, but they cannot control the statistics and the actual numbers on a platform that they don't control. So ultimately, she's not going to show up. And I don't think we're going to experience a crypto winter. I think Donald Trump is likely going to win this election. And so I'm going to give you two different scenarios that can happen with XRP if Kamala Harris wins and if Trump wins. So it's not a new chart, but we have been in this long-term descending triangle with XRP, right? You could call it a flag from a very long period of time as well. But ultimately right now we have still failed to break above the 65-cent range and arguably above that current resistance at 75 cents. So that said, it seems to play out pretty well along this resistance line. And if we were to experience a Kamala Harris presidency, I would expect markets, especially crypto, with the lack of regulation and the lack of clarity and just how this administration has approached the market, for crypto to dump. And if crypto dumped, I do believe XRP would likely hit that 33 to 30 cent range, all the way down to potentially even here, 17 cent range if we get some nasty flash crash or some negative news. Like, those would be my targets. And I think those would be lifetime buying opportunities. However, I don't think that's the likely outcome. What I think is more likely is that if markets continue to sell off, we could potentially hit that 42% or 42 cent range to 38 cent range, just natural sell pressure. You know, the markets are still cooling off, so on and so forth. But then into the election, if Trump wins, I think that the markets are going to rally like crazy, because that is going to indicate a new era for crypto, regulatory clarity. They are going to start to add Bitcoin to their reserves in a way like we've never seen before. I do believe Trump is going to be a man of his word on that. And so that said, I think we could easily break above this 75 cent range and hit our previous all-time highs and then new all-time highs. So if you enjoyed the video, one last time, head on over to bullrunners.com. Get that in the description below to discover how to earn more crypto in less than 10 minutes with the #1 play to earn XRP game. This is a great way to put your XRP to work, reduce the volatility in your portfolio, because ultimately you're going to earn crypto. If you're already holding XRP, it's volatile. So you might as well earn, right, and stack on that crypto, which kind of reduces your risk tremendously. That said, it is an all market solution, so it doesn't matter if it's a bear market, bull market. Ultimately, this is a great way to get your ball rolling and to build wealth. So if you've enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.